Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to trace the incredible story of our relationship with food. It's a journey that starts with connection, moves through a period of, a great disconnection, and ends with a really hopeful path back to finding our way again.
So let's kick things off with this really thought-provoking idea from writer and farmer Wendell Berry. He says, a responsible consumer has to also be a producer. It's an idea that's going to frame everything we talk about today. I mean, what does that even mean, to be a producer in a world that's trained us all to be consumers?
All right, so here's the roadmap for our journey today. First, we'll look at our agricultural roots. Then, the rise of the industrial food machine. We'll uncover the true cost of all that food. And finally, we'll explore how we can start reconnecting with the land.
Okay, first up, let's travel way back in time. Back to our roots, to a time when agriculture wasn't just another industry. It was literally the foundation of human civilization itself.
For thousands of years, food was, it was everything. As Tom Standage points out in his book, An Edible History of Humanity, grains like wheat and rice weren't just things we found lying around. They were incredible human innovations. And the surplus they created, that surplus literally built society. It paid for armies, it funded governments, it built empires. Your entire life was defined by food.
And this connection wasn't some abstract concept. It was deeply personal. I love this quote from the farmer James Rebanks. He talks about his grandfather's farm, and for him, farming wasn't about speed or efficiency. It was a craft, a deep generational knowledge, where the land itself was the classroom.
And this is where it all came together. Food wasn't just fuel, it was culture. As Edna Lewis describes so beautifully, harvest wasn't about selling a commodity. It was a massive communal feast, a true celebration of the land's bounty. She talks about a giant dinner bell that would ring out, calling in workers from all over the countryside to share a meal together. Just imagine that.
But that deep, communal, personal connection to our food, it started to unravel. So how did everything change so drastically? Well, after World War II, a whole new model appeared, and it came with a big promise: to feed the world through industrial power. And when I say things changed, I mean the very logic of farming was completely turned on its head. And it happened in just a few decades, a blink of an eye in human history.
So how did this happen? Well, as Barbara Kingsolver explains, the tools of war literally became the tools of agriculture. Think about it. Munitions plants that made explosives were retooled to churn out chemical fertilizers from the surplus. That, plus new government policies that paid farmers to grow massive fields of corn and soy, created this whole new system dependent on chemicals and scale.
And this consolidation didn't just stay on the farm. It followed the food all the way to us. Retail giants like Walmart came to dominate the market, capturing a 30% share of American groceries. An analyst quoted in the book Barron's called it a zero-sum game that just wiped out thousands of smaller, local grocery stores.
So this new industrial machine, it worked, right? It delivered cheap calories, and lots of them. But it turns out there were enormous hidden costs. Costs to our planet, to our health, and to the animals themselves.
Okay, so let's really break down these hidden costs. The impact has been pretty staggering, and we can really see it in three critical areas: the environment, human health, and animal welfare.
First, let's look at the environmental cost. A system that's built on creating abundance, it also creates an absolutely shocking amount of waste. We're talking 40% of all food in the US just gets thrown away. To put that in perspective, if global food waste were its own country, it would be the third largest greenhouse gas emitter in the world. Just mind-boggling.
And it's not just waste, it's pollution. A lot of pollution. Take Iowa, which is basically the epicenter of industrial hog farming. A staggering 61% of its rivers are now considered impaired. That means they're not safe for things like fishing or swimming. It's a direct result of concentrating so much animal waste in such a small area.
And then there's the cost of the animals. This is tough to hear, but it's really important. According to the industry's own trade group, the National Chicken Council, so this isn't an activist number, it's from the industry itself, 180 million chickens are improperly slaughtered every single year. The scale of suffering built into the system is almost impossible to comprehend.
Okay, I know. Looking at these numbers, it's a lot. It can feel pretty overwhelming and, frankly, a little hopeless. It's easy to just think, this is just the way it has to be. But is it? Is this industrial model really the only way?
Well, the good news is, the answer is a resounding no. It is not inevitable. There's a powerful movement growing, one that's finding a better path forward. And it's a path based not on conquering nature, but on cooperating with it.
Innovators are rediscovering how to work with nature's own cycles. Take regenerative grazing. It's really genius in its simplicity. It's all about mimicking the way herds have always moved across grasslands. They graze, they stomp the ground, they fertilize it, and then they move on, letting the land rest and heal. It's a philosophy of minimal intervention, and it turns animals into a healing force for the land.
And this all brings us right back to that Wendell Berry idea we started with. See, the industrial system wants us to be passive consumers, totally disconnected. But a connected system asks us to become what he calls a producer-consumer. Now, that doesn't mean we all have to go out and buy a farm. It just means being an active participant, asking questions, and supporting a food system that's designed to cooperate with nature, not fight it.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, it's all about rebuilding relationships. As James Rebanks points out, when you go to a local market, you can look the farmer in the eye. And that simple act, that's not just a financial transaction. It becomes an exchange of values. It allows us to actually influence how our food is grown and to be part of a shared story.
And that leaves us with one final, and I think really powerful thought. This reconnection we've been talking about, it isn't just up to the farmers. They can't do it alone. It's up to all of us. The choices we make every day in the grocery store, and the choices we make at the ballot box, those choices have real power. They have the power to reshape our entire food system and to turn this tide from disconnection back toward a deep and meaningful connection with our food, with our land, and with each other.